Delta filed for bankruptcy in 2005.
That's right.
So why did you have to file for bankruptcy?
Well, it was the aftermath, really, of a series of events which 9/11 triggered. You know, we lost our international business almost overnight. The competition in the U.S. was so competitive with so many airlines trying to take each other's share. It just kept pushing prices lower and lower and lower. Almost all the airlines wound up filing.
But while you're in bankruptcy, U.S. Air said, we want to take you over. Was that considered a friendly offer at the time? Or?
Doug Parker will never live that down, no. We had a pretty hostile takeover battle. I've got an interesting story. You know, we were bankrupt. We weren't worth anything at the time. And U.S. Air came in and offered $10 billion to buy Delta, and for a company that's not worth anything. And so everyone assumed, well, that's going to be a foregone conclusion. And the people of the company stood, and they said, it's not going to happen. We have a better idea. We have a better business plan. We were able to convince the creditors through the restructuring process to stay with Delta. And as a result of that, you see what we've been able to do.
As part of that, what happened is you said to the employees and your colleagues, we'll give you 10% of the profits to the employees. Is that more or less right? Or
well, when we went through the restructuring, our people took a lot of pay cuts.
Right.
Obviously, benefit losses, a lot of change. And we made a commitment to the employees then that at that point, once we became profitable, 15% of the profits would go back to the people, which we honor to this day, and we still.
So how much did that produce, let's say, last year for the employees?
Well, last year we paid $1.3 billion to our people in profit share.
So now, does that mean your stock price would be higher if you didn't pay it to them, or you have happier employees?
I think our stock price would be lower if we didn't pay it.
Okay. You have a pattern of meeting with employees fairly regularly. You call it a velvet program. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So when we went through our hard times back in the bankruptcy era, we didn't have a lot of cash. We didn't have anything. You know, people were actually taking pay cuts. And we decided the only way we were ever going to be successful again, Delta has a proud history, was that we were going to have to reconnect with our people and get something to catch their attention. So our people were downtrodden, years of pay cuts and job losses and all the difficult things we remember from almost 20 years ago. And so in downtown Atlanta, there was an abandoned Macy's building in downtown Atlanta. And we decided to take out a couple floors in this abandoned building. I'm not sure we ever even paid for it. I think we just squatted in there. I don't know if they even knew we were in there. And we would bring our employees, and we brought all of our employees, you know, 600, 700 at a time for a day and a half of opportunity to talk about the airline. We had no PowerPoints, we had no slides, we deliberately kept it from being as uncorporate as possible. We had couches, we had chairs, we had curtains, we had low lights as people were walking in. People would come into the room, they'd see some of our people dancing around and trying to lighten up them. No wonder we were bankrupt, they probably thought. You know, we got a crisis on our hands, these people are dancing in this abandoned Macy's building. But what it did is it got their attention to focus on what was really important. And our people wanted to know it wasn't their fault that we went through the hard times. I think so often when companies go through difficult times, employees are made to feel like they're the reason, that they're too expensive, they're not productive enough, that they're a cost when they really are the very best asset you have. And we do these meetings to this day. Now we can afford to actually pay for our own space, and we do nice hotel lobbies and other venues, but we have a dozen of them a year all around the U.S. where we bring people from different disciplines together, and we talk about the future. And I still lead every one of those, as I did 15 years ago, because that engagement is so critical in what we do.